the 3 tourniquets before you are all approved by the TCCC committee. They are all 3 within the same price range, and you can look on Amazon for any one of these. Also, go to the links down below, go to my article and read a little bit more. I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet, but all 3 of these tourniquets have been used in a professional capacity and still are being used in a professional capacity. And these 2, at least, have seen multiple generations, and for the better. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and analyze these starting from left to right. From the left being the most popular and less popular going to the right. So, cat tourniquet, used in the military for a very long time. I used it when I was in the military, and I didn't really get as good a training as you can get, you know, outside of the military nowadays, but it was good enough to get the job done. So, anyways, this doesn't have any metal in it. It's very lightweight. It's not really going to be constructed in order to, you know, use for multiple, you know, it's not good for multiple uses is what I'm trying to say. You can see, like right here, they did like some spot, not welding, but what do you call it when you melt the nylon? It's basically all just nylon fabric, and it's single stitch. It's really a single use item. You can't take this tourniquet, use it in training, and then, you know, set it back up in its stock configuration and then reliably use it out on the street, so to speak. They recommend that you have a training tourniquet, and then you have just your actual usage tourniquet that's always ready. Now, the problems that I see with that is, number one, all these cost the same, but this is the only one that is a throwaway item, pretty much. Like, yes, you're going to have to leave it on to the hospital. They might cut it off, you know, whatever they decide to do. Probably just throw it away. I don't know. But, you know, you're not going to be reusing it. But I think of it more as a training capacity. So I want to be able to work with the tourniquet that I'm going to be using. So the problem with the cat tourniquet, it's a one-use item, right? Also, another thing is this is completely dependent on the Velcro actually working. So it is completely dependent on the Velcro. Now, it is very flexible around here, so it can fit around a wide variety of different limbs, people of different sizes and shapes. So there's no problem with getting these things on quickly and being able to crank down a good amount of pressure. With the upgrades to the buckle system, haven't really had an issue with this, and this is one of the easiest tourniquets to use, especially one-handed. So it's got good things going for it, but it also has the negatives that I pointed out earlier. Obviously, you have the timestamp, or you know, time strap here rather, but this is also a good way to take the excess and cinch it down. So it does have the features that it needs in order to be effective, but it does have its limitations that you just need to be aware of, all right? So another thing I'll say about this is you can get tourniquet holders for these things anywhere, right? Not so much for the rest of them. You'll probably need a universal tourniquet holder. So next one is the Soft TY. This is one of my favorite ones, and this is the first tourniquet that I ever worked with where I was able to train with it regularly, and I didn't need to go through, you know, the price tag to buy 2 just to have one to work with, all right? So you can see that I have duct tape here. Well, that's because this does use metal, unlike the cat, so it can clank around a bit if this thing is rattled a good bit, but I wanted to deafen it a little bit because I was using this in my EDC, and it was kind of, or it was in my EDC kit, and it was also in my conventional gear during tactical training. And the last thing I wanted to hear was a bunch of clanking, you know, hearing it clicking in my cargo pocket, because I had one in my cargo pocket and one in a tourniquet holder. This is the one from my cargo pocket, so I've just left the duct tape there. It doesn't do anything, it just deadens the noise if they impact. So you're not hearing that. And usually it would be a clicking noise. So, now, you know, a little bit of duct tape goes a long way. So, with that said, I really like the buckle system, especially the upgraded buckle system where it's a solid polymer instead of like that wire rack that they used to use, this little piece of wire that would like turn. It doesn't have that problem anymore, so that's a good thing. One thing about the buckle is it's very much like a seat belt, and strap right here. It's very durable, and I think that's where they got the inspiration from. They wanted a strap that was like a seatbelt that could be cinched tight. Now, the other side of the base here has rubber, and you want to have this in contact with the limb, and then you want to kind of treat it like a ratcheting system to tighten it down. But the good thing about this is, unlike the cat tourniquet, one little note is the cat tourniquet, when you Velcro it down, if you're cinching and moving at the same time while you're doing the tourniquet or whatever, if you can't actually wrap up the excess under the time strap, then you have snagging issues. And I've had tourniquets come undone during movement. You don't really see that with this tourniquet as much. It can kind of decompress a little bit, but the nylon in the cat tourniquets, because you can't really work the nylon in, nylon does stretch a little bit over time especially. So yes, that's one of the reasons why in TCCC you're taught to constantly reevaluate your tourniquets. The soft T doesn't really have the issue of coming undone or loosening up, mostly because of the strap and the base. It's all very stiff material, so you don't really have to worry about that too much. It's very easy to set back up. You just pull this until the red's basically gone, and then there you go. You just curl it up. Now, little note, the time strap here, or the time piece here, is tiny. Very tiny place for the time, but that's all right. People have had tourniquets on for, hours and hours, and they've never had a problem with limb salvation and necrosis of tissue and stuff like that. Those are kind of old theories that tourniquet is the last resort, right? So tourniquet is typically the first resort. Now, very strong tourniquet, very good value for the money, in my opinion. The one thing that you're going to have a problem with is, because the strap is so tight, it's not going to yield as easy as like the cat tourniquet, where the nylon has a little bit of flex, and also it's a polymer windlass. This is steel, and this is a very tough strap. So when you turn this thing, it is very exacting on its, movements. And so if you only get about here on your turn, you're going to have to crank really hard. And doing that to yourself is applying a lot of discomfort to yourself. So actually, the way that the brain kind of works is you have kind of a disconnect where you won't be able to cause yourself too much pain, at least in my experience. Now, I have been able to force the issue, but it takes a good amount of force to really crank down, but it's doable. So that's just something you'll have to work through with the soft T wide, and you do need to train for it. All these need to be trained with, right? So advantages and disadvantages of that, right? All right, now the seam. This is actually one of my favorite ones overall, for a variety of reasons. The biggest downside to this right off the gate is this thing's beefy. This got this huge buckle right here, and it's going to have a bigger profile overall than something like this soft T, right? This thing's quite a hefty one. This soft T can, be very trim inside the pocket, and even the cat tourniquet can be very trim inside the pocket. This guy is a bit of a monster. It uses a combination of metal and polymer, so it's kind of like between the two, and it's really designed kind of like a cat tourniquet on steroids. And you can see the buckle system here is very big, but that's because of these two pieces right here. There's little prongs that stick out once you have put enough pressure on the buckle system when you're actually ratcheting it down or cranking it down on the limb. So the little prongs will stick out, and I'll just do this here. So when you pull, and you pull hard enough, these little prongs will stick out through the little holes and hold it in place. So it is like the cat, where it has Velcro, but this Velcro is a secondary to these prongs, and you really want to put them together for the maximum amount of strength. But if you've ever done like one-arm tourniquet, like self-application, it is not that easy. So I like that about this, and also it's very easy to release. Lift tab to release. Boop. There you go, and they just pop back in. Nice spring-loaded system. So Also, when I first got this, this was very tough to turn. This knurling right here doesn't look like very much, but this is like perfect. It has perfect grab on the fingers or with gloves or whatever. You get the perfect grip. And I swear, once this thing is actually put on an arm, it takes one full rotation, and that is it. One full rotation, and you are good to go. And that is really hard to say about any other tourniquet. Usually with like the soft tees, it's like maybe 3. It could be 4, depending on how hard you actually ratcheted it down. With the cats, it could be 4 or 5. Because of how much it can move and stuff like that. And you really make your money on that initial pull. And this seems to be very much catered around that. Sam is definitely a good tourniquet maker. You'll probably be familiar with the Sam splints, but back here is not really all that flexible. It is pretty stiff, but I think that's more for endurance, and it's just a very durable tourniquet. It is a monster, but it is very effective, and it's actually very quick when you train with it. It's very stiff right away, but this is a very well made, strap right here. There's nothing really gliding on the inside like you have with the cat, where this is sewn shut, but you can see that there's this inner piece right here that's actually right here sewn in and secured on this tab. So you have this little piece that goes inside, and then it comes through right here. You have that little piece right there that goes through the whole entire strap. And so to reset a training tourniquet, you got to undo the entire thing and hold the tab and hold this part where the time strap is and pull it apart. You don't have that issue with the soft tee or the Sam tourniquet. It's really easy to get it ready again. You just pull through and this thing glides back and forth. So whatever it can pull through, it'll pull through, and really this is all you need right here. So if you ratchet this down properly, you start here at the hem, I guess you could say, right here, and then you ratchet it down, and that's all you're really going to need in order to cut off the circulation and include the extremity. Now with the leg, I actually found myself needing to do like 2 rotations, but that was mostly because of clothing interference. So, that is what it is. Plus like extra muscle tissue and stuff that needed to be clamped down. So each person's going to have to train with it and kind of get a good feeling for it, especially for self-application. You need to be prepared for knowing how many turns you're going to have to do on average. But of course, the method is always you turn until the bleeding stops. All right. So anyways, that is a bit of a breakdown of the 3 tourniquets. I wouldn't say this is my favorite one. For one-handed applications, this one's always been very efficient and it's a very good one. This is kind of a meets right in the middle, but as far as the most durable, that's what I would rate this one at. For best of everything, I can't really decide one for everybody. Everybody's going to have different strengths, weaknesses, capabilities, and needs. So you got to make that decision for yourself. But I hope this video was helpful, kind of breaking things down, being a little bit clearer on things, giving you the nice layman breakdown on how things are set up and what their uses are. So hopefully this helps you with your purchases in the future, or hopefully you'll be encouraged to explore some of these different tourniquets if you've only stuck with one. They all have good value and a good place in your first aid kit. So don't neglect that. Also, check out my account on X, where I update, my most recent videos and blog articles. And I'll see you guys around. Thanks a lot for watching, and you guys have a good one.